and whatnot, which is always useful. So,
Yeah, it's very useful.
I mean, hey, it makes them sound less crap, so that's good.
Yeah. Otherwise, you end up sounding like we do.
Pretty much.
um, yeah. So, what else do we got? I realized that I totally screwed up the Champ Select thing, and I'm sorry, guys. That's my bad. I screwed up. There's your Champ Select screen. My apologies. Trying to micromanage a million things here, and I apologize. Yeah, what else do we got? There was something else. TrinityForcePodcast.com, which is the Trinity Force Podcast site. There you've got links to all kinds of stuff, all of their stream content.
Find where to get the podcast from your favorite podcast device, Stitcher, iTunes, whatever.
Also, where to find your Battle Arena information on how and where to join Battle Arena. And if you're not already, join the in-game chat channel T-Force to join the community and hang out. It's a really great group of guys, and you're gonna have a good time. I mean, you're not even gonna have a choice in the matter. We're gonna force you to have a good time.
Zach talks a lot.
I talk a lot. I'm also the resident T-Force bad player, so you've got that going.
Battle Arena at TrinityForcePodcast.com. If you got questions, want more in-depth whatever about your games after this cast is over, email them. Badger, somebody will respond to you and give you a bit more in-depth discussion about how you played and what you could have done better. Just more than we can just do right live. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah.
I think there was one other link. Oh, and then you've got Twitch.tv, which I copy-pasted completely wrong the other day. /T-Force Podcast, because everything except for their main website is pretty much T-Force Podcast instead of Trinity Force.
That's where everything, like, we are currently broadcasting on the secondary channel, but all the podcasts, everything else that goes live, that's Twitch.tv/T-Force Podcast. Not T-Force Podcast 2 is what this is. This is for overflow stuff such as us running 2 battle arenas at the same time. So, yeah.
I think that pretty much covers all of the plugs for this time.
I think so.
Am I mistaken? So, how about Champ Select?
Champ Select. Rammus. I like Rammus. Rammus is one of my favorite champions ever, actually. I love me some Fat Turtle. I'm sad that they nerfed his taunt, rather, a little while back. I was just not as good, but I love Rammus, honestly. I have a man crush on Rammus.
Rammus is cool.
Yeah.
He says, okay.
Pretty much. That's what all he says.
Rammus is pretty much okay.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Kale actually got through bans. You're seeing a lot of Kale bans these days just because she's so strong.
Yep.
And the shred in her passive is disgusting.
Yeah, she is a scary champion right now. Between Hurricane and her attack speed, just the amount of shred that she has and the damage because of it, and the damage her team can follow up on, is pretty terrifying. That being said, we've got Renekton versus what looks to be... See, I really don't know this time, because we've got Blue Bowels and Miasm on J4 and Heimerdinger again.
Why do I feel like is that the same people? I think it's the same people.
It is, so I'm not sure where they're going to go.
Probably the same lanes.
Yeah.
I think it's the same guy playing Heimerdinger in these games. I don't know about the other ones, though.
I know that J4 is the same again. Anyways, yeah, Renekton's a solid pick in the top lane, as usual. I don't know if I'd go TP on Renekton in a solo queue scenario. He's such a hard lane bully that the combat summoner of Ignite to really just hammer somebody down and gain huge lane advantage can be pretty huge for you, especially since he falls off late game and all he really becomes is a tank.
It does still help, just because the global pressure you get even late game from teleport is much better than Ignite will ever give you late game.
True.
Ignite, unless you're facing somebody super healy like a Mundo Swain, Vlad, something like that. The exception of like those kind of guys where the healing debuff's really big. Ignite's mostly an early game spell, really.
Yes.
Like, you mostly want it for your lane dominance, usually. So, I don't know. It does help as late game, and it does give you the option of things like showing a bot lane just suddenly out of the blue for a 5-man dive bot lane.
Yep. But you got to make sure you utilize it.
Boom. Yeah, but you have to make sure you utilize it, otherwise it's not going to help you much.
Moving down the line, we've got a Kayle, which we are going to full well assume that Kayle is going to be mid lane, already mentioned, but still, solid pick. Tristana, you want to weigh in Tristana? I'm not still super up on the 80 carries, aside from a very select few of them.
I've been seeing a lot more Tristana lately, particularly with the Infinity Edge buff. She's an 80 carry who loves Infinity Edge.
Yep.
So you're going to see a lot more of her right now, I think, just because that makes her much stronger than she was before. And Tristana just gets scary late game just because the range gets disgusting.
And her attack speed buff. Or steroid,
yeah, that attack speed steroid's insane. It's like top 3 in the game, I think. I think the only ones higher than that are like Fiora, E, and I want to say Jack's passive fully stacked, but I'm not positive.
I believe you could be correct.
I'm 90% sure it's a top lane J4 and a mid lane Heimerdinger now, but that's because that's what it was last time. We'll see. I think it's the same 2 people who were in our last game.
It is, and I'm not sure if they swapped or not. I'm going to let you talk for 2 seconds. I'm going to be right back.
Cool. My thing would load so I can actually see who I'm talking at. Right, wait. Oh yeah, Sona. Sona's certainly solid. You don't see a lot of Sona these days. I think it's because she's just a little too squishy and risky for bot lane. Right now, just because a lot of tanky engaged supports are actually very strong right now. So, I mean, she's still Sona. She's still really good. Brings a lot to your team just with the auras, and then the crescendo's obviously massive. So that's the thing. Again, it looks like it's a top. I'm assuming again top lane J4 mid lane Heimerdinger. I mean, we talked about this last game, but I guess I'll talk about it again for the VOD. Top lane J4, it's a bit of a cheese pick. Also, or what T4's podcast guys will often refer to as shock and awe. Because oftentimes the laners don't know how to deal with it early. So that definitely helps you. And his early game damage is really strong, especially with his. And they buffed his passive actually recently to make it better for top lane Jarvan specifically. So he does hit really hard for that first strike, which is certainly worth noting when you're trying to trade with him. Mid lane Heimer is going to just try and just push the enemy laner out of the lane. And, that's what Heimerdinger does. So we'll see how that works out. I feel like Kayle's going to have problems with that early. Her early wave clear is not great until she gets some AP. Well, basically until she gets an Ashes Tooth, really. So, that's that. Jungle Fiddlesticks. Don't see many of those.
Haven't seen a whole lot. I do believe that this was quite a ways back, if I remember correctly, but I thought I remembered the T-Force podcast commenting on the fact that Fiddlesticks had, like, up there in the top 5 of the winningest champions in the game at the time. I don't know if that's fallen down since then, but Fiddle's scary. Like, Fiddle can be scary, I should rephrase that.
He certainly can be scary, but again, same vein as Rammus actually, when they nerfed his fear at the same time, it really hurt him.
Yep.
I'm checking the rates right now.
Now I have to figure out who's going mid and
Fiddle
who's
is
going top.
not in the top 10 win rates. But actually,
Okay.
Rammus is. Rammus is the second highest win rate in the game.
I did not realize that.
Fun fact. Yeah. Where was I? Yes, yeah, Fiddle. Don't see a lot of these days. He can certainly be. He got really bad problems early. Like, if I was blue team, I'd be trying to see if I could steal his blue. Although admittedly, even Rammus who's got similar blue problems.
Yep.
So, I mean, Rammus is probably not quite as hosed early as a Fiddlesticks stands blue, but I don't know. If blue team had a better level 1, because they actually have a pretty bad level 1.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Invade against the Fiddlesticks, because removing that blue buff will like completely shut him down.
Yes, I agree completely. Question for you: Amplifying Tome as a level 1 start on Fiddle plus a Sightstone versus.
That's actually pretty normal.
Is it? Okay. I don't know. That's why I asked.
Fiddlesticks is so much the same from his drain. If he goes what you call it? Machete 5.
Yep.
He will maybe use 1 pot by the end of his clear.
I figured the pots wouldn't be necessary. I just wasn't sure if the machete was a better.
I mean, the machete is still decent, but he gets like as much damage off the Amptome.
He's one of the only.
He's like the only jungler who doesn't want machete early, really.
Okay.
Just because of how his kit works. Yeah, no, that's actually pretty normal. Although I feel like he should be placing that ward somewhere.
Yes.
Just sitting on it doesn't do you any good. So
I
if you're
will
gonna start with
say-
a ward, I feel like you should use it.
They made the good
Protect against an
call.
invade or something.
Putting the purple team made the good call of putting the ward in the river early to watch for the invade, which didn't happen in the first game. And knowing that Fiddle has a weak early start, especially if he doesn't get that blue, was really key. And it looks like we are going to have the swap in lanes. So that
it's a mid lane J4. Okay. Not sure if that was intended or they just decided to swap like that. But it's interesting.
Very
wow. Whoa.
Huge trading going down already.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know if Sona lagged out there or what, but she just kind of walked into them and took a pile of free damage. Like, especially with somebody as squishy as Sona, you have to be so careful with your positioning to not get just destroyed.
Yep. Very pokey between Sona and Zyra, though. Zyra definitely, I think, bringing...
Strictly lane Zyra's a better pick.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I mean, Sona does have the added bonus of a heal, and a better engaging ult. Zyra can bring a lot of damage and kind of safer harass because of the plans. Yep. I'm actually a big fan of support Zyra.
J4 picking up the first blood. I didn't jump to it quite in time, but completely all-inning the Leona before she had a chance to do anything and picking up that first blood.
Lucian ends up dying bot lane, though.
See, I jumped away from it at the wrong time, apparently. It looks like the real ham from Rammus coming out and almost goes down to J4 also. That J4 early damage.
He just got his passive proc, backed her once or twice, ignited her, and just backed away and watched her die. The early damage from J4 is really something to be afraid of.
Yep. And in the top lane, Heimer doing a good job at shoving Renekton out early, forcing him to use all of his
really bad. This is a really bad lane for Renekton right now.
Yep.
Like, Renekton has few counters, but the few that he has is people who can, like, outrange him and just keep him away from them.
Yep.
That's why people like Ryze are so good against him. And a Heimerdinger top lane is just devastating.
Yeah, when you can't get in and trade as Renekton, there's not a whole lot that you can do.
No, not really. I mean, the problem with this is, though, that Heimerdinger is very pushed in a long lane.
Yep.
So you could potentially have Rammus showing up top lane behind him, and he has to run a long ways before he can get away.
Yeah, especially
although he's fairly safe because there's the 3 turrets, but like he can get away from his turrets, and that's the long way between his turrets and the towers still.
Yep.
You know?
A lot of damage coming down on Tristana. She's going to have to rocket jump away. Really difficult for Tristana to try to trade with a Lucian Zyra bot lane early. Probably would be better off.
So far. She has a CS lead and a kill.
Yeah, she does have a CS lead and a kill. The Fiddle does come in, and it looks like they're going to go for the gank on the No Summoner's Kayle and pick up another kill. In the meantime, Tristana went very low, like single-digit health, but also brought Lucian fairly low.
Yeah.
So just a lot of back and forth in this bot lane. Everybody wants a kill.
Oh, looks like we actually beat the other guys that are first game being done.
Apparently.
I just assumed that they beat them before, so I didn't actually check.
Yeah.
I saw something in the chat about them looking for game 2 already, but I guess I was misreading. Cool, I guess.
J4 doing a really...
Before game 3, but
yeah. J4 also doing a really good job at putting down damage on that tower early. And Heimer actually also. They're both doing a really good job at taking that advantage and shoving it. Take your advantage and shove it.
Oh, brother. But yeah, no, this Kayle is just really far behind right now, and she can't deal with the J4 anymore.
No. It looks like they're gonna go... Yep.
Turtle comes in for the gank, but the flag and drag gets Moy safe.
Yep. It's really difficult for him to deal with that flag and drag.
Yeah.
The amount of escape that he has. Heimer putting his ulted tower down in the top lane to just put
He was
even
doing
more
that a lot
damage.
last game too. I don't know. I'm not.
It worked.
I mean, I'm not a Heimerdinger player, but I'm not sold on using his ult just to get some tower damage. That seems a bit wasteful to me, but I don't know.
Bunch of trading going down in the mid lane, and he is gonna get the kill.
If we're just dunks the kill and walks away.
J4 having the level advantage actually really.
Oh, Zyra misses the seed with the Q there, so she doesn't get the plant proc.
Yep. Kayle trying to trade before she's 6, especially when she's behind, just not a good call. Like, you want to try to stay back and just CS at that point. You know that J4's got an item advantage on you and a CS lead, and is realistically beating you in lane very heavily. Before you have your ult and he has his, there's nothing you can do to stop
just
him
be
once
trying
he
to
all
stay
ins
away
you.
from that.
Yeah. At least until you're 6. Then you can at least have the gank potential to come in, and you can save whichever one of the two of you might have gone down if the gank failed.
Pretty much.
Renekton trying to put some damage back down, but just taking a lot of damage. Watching the minion aggro is going to be a huge portion. Would you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sorry, for which lane?
Top lane, Renekton just tried to trade with Heimerdinger, but
Yeah.
tried to trade both under Heimer turrets and in a wave of Heimer's wave, which drew him aggro, and he took a lot of damage from Heimer having to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's one of the things, especially top lane, you have to be really careful for. Is you have to be super careful of just where your trades are at, because like wave manipulation and just being safe in your lanes. Whoa.
Yeah, the failed gank in the top lane.
Actually, they kind of got away with murder there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you have to realize, especially early game, minions will do more damage than champions will. Just like straight up, they will. They do a lot of damage in groups. Be very careful about when you're drawing minion aggro compared to when they are. That purple caster minion does a lot of damage, man.
I've died a lot of times to purple caster minions. And bot lane for the blue team doing a really good job at shoving their tower in.
Yeah, but it looks like Renekton's gonna lose his turret.
Heimer can't take it. He doesn't have any damage. That push Heimer. So what do we got for builds? Pretty standard stuff. The double Doran's coming out on Tristana. Doran long sword. Sorry. Coming out on Illusion with the boots. Don't know if I would have gone boots long sword. That double the sustain coming down from your double Dorans is actually pretty big.
Yeah.
Especially since the changes
I do not like going early boots on AD carries, especially, just because they're so gold dependent that just that little bit of gold you save from boots early can go towards just a little more damage and can be huge. And suddenly Fiddlesticks.
Good ult coming down.
Solid ult.
But looks like they're gonna be able to walk out.
Force out the exhaust and force out all the summer's bot lane actually for blue side. That was actually a very productive gank. Now J4's bot lane, it's just a party. Although now it looks like purple's gonna back off. Cool. Yeah, that was actually a pretty solid gank. I feel like Zyra could have tried to line up Grasping Roots or something to try and make that a cleaner engage, but I mean, it still went fairly well.
Zyra flashes and still gets taken down to the range of Tristana.
Yeah, right then was one of those you're pretty much just still dead, so you just save your flash. Like no point in blowing a big cooldown like your flash if you're dead already. Like you just have to go, okay, I'm dead. Well, rip in peace me, and then just deal with it and move on. But wasting a flash can get you killed multiple times over afterwards.
Instead of just the one. Thaladin making a couple good points that I do actually want to point out. I didn't actually notice this until he just said it, but Renekton should have gone defensive earlier. 100%. Getting the Vamp Scepter and the Longsword and the Doran's Blade and the Rejuve Bead against Heimer. You're being shoved out so hard. You want to just be able to stay in that lane. Building
Rush a Hex Drinker.
Yeah, Hex Drinker would have been much better.
Yep.
to stop that harass coming down from Heimer and allow you to take some of that damage without it being so big.
Just to cut you off a little bit earlier, there was just a fight between the Sona and the Lucian bot lane.
Yeah.
It kind of exemplifies our talk about a minion aggro. Because Lucian almost lost 1v1 to a Sona, like he had a both summoner heal to survive, because he pulled so much minion aggro.
Yep.
Like he pulled like a wave and a half of blue minions, and so it was Sona doing a bit of damage, and then just so much minion aggro on him. You gotta be careful for that.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference in the early levels. Like those minions can do an excessively ridiculous amount of damage.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they've only got like what 30 AD, but if you still have 6 of them hitting you all at the same time, it adds up pretty quick.
Good push in the mid lane here, knowing that J4's back. Overall, just keeping pressure actually, or trying to create pressure somewhere, since they pretty much are being pressured in every other lane at this point.
Okay, one thing. Right here for Heimerdinger, like he's just trying to keep pushing the same lane. I would rather see him rotate mid or something and help J4 push down that mid inhib. Just rotate down the map and just take all the outer towers at once. Instead of sitting top and trying to push down to tier 2 top while your mid tier 1 is still up.
Especially with him not having a large portion of vision control up there, it doesn't seem like they're going to follow up on it at this point in time.
Especially if you're going to push this much, you need to have a ward like by their blue buff.
Yeah, you want to have,
especially against somebody who's really fast, like Aramis. You need to have the wards a little farther out too. But yeah, no, he's playing really risky here.
He is. He's playing with fire completely.
Yeah, and honestly, the safer bet would be just rotate. Oh!
In the bot lane, picking up the double kill. In the bot lane, meanwhile, while we're discussing that.
Yeah.
Very good engage coming out from the purple team, but the counter engage and the ult coming down from Sona, was pretty huge there. Managed to keep Lucian off of Sona long enough for Tristana to re-engage and put a lot of damage back down, killing the Lucian and then being able to chase down and follow up on the Zyra also. Which puts her at a huge advantage right now. Already with a BF sword. Right, she's pretty much, I was going to say, she has all the parts for an Infinity Edge.
You're going to hurt real bad real quick. But again, like, see why Heimerdinger, like, J4 is going to take it by himself right now. But Heimerdinger really should have rotated down to help him with that, I think. Just because, like, he's getting nothing right now. Like, right now, he's just sitting there kind of stalemated against Renekton with the lane frozen between tier 1 and tier 2 purple side, top lane. Like,
they're going full dive here on J4. They do force up the flash,
they want him, but
they all take a lot of damage just to put some damage back down on the J4.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the Renekton being back and whatnot, it's putting.
I feel like right here, purple side bot lane should be collapsing upriver because they're on a 2v1 right now. Like, they should have been collapsing, like they are now. It should have been like 30 seconds ago, collapsing up on them trying to get away. Now it's like a free kill on the Sona at least here, but well, except for Kayle ult.
Yep.
Which is problematic for that, but like they should have been just collapsing up in on them much faster than they were. Like you got watch your minimap for things like that. Super helpful.
Yeah, and also they ended up picking up the free kill onto Fiddlesticks because of the roam there. I will say good vision control coming down in the Dragon Pit area. We've got a pink and a blue. A pink ward coming out from purple team, and a stealth ward. Sorry, a pink ward and a stealth ward coming down right in the pit area.
They can't actually see each other.
Really?
They're like right on the opposite corners. They just cannot quite see each other. That's hilarious.
And the TP being used by Heimerdinger.
Yeah, Heimerdinger thinks he's safe and can freely take it, but he doesn't realize there's actually a ward right there, so they know. That's actually really funny.
And in the meantime, Renekton doing some work on that top tower. Don't know if he'll get it in time, but definitely trying to put some of the pressure back on.
Heimer teleported bottom for that, and then I was just going to walk all the way to top lane and try and maybe save his tower, but I'm not sure he will. Right then, honestly, he should have taken the dragon and then just gone and shoved bot lane in.
Yeah,
like, that would have been the smart move. You gotta apply pressure to other lanes when you're winning your lane. Like I mentioned in the last game, gotta mention it in this game. When you're winning your lane, take that pressure and just apply it across the map.
And trying to help your bot lane snowball harder.
Exactly.
Yes,
Your bot lane's having some mild issues right now. A fed Heimerdinger down there though.
is
Relatively,
gonna-
he doesn't actually have kills, but
yeah. But putting
that's going to be really helpful.
you'd put a lot of pressure down on your bot lane where you could have probably shoved the tower pretty heavily, if not taken the tower with the ult. Sorry, not the ult. The extra pressure from roam from your mid lane and jungler.
Yeah.
That Banner of Command minion being OP.
Yeah.
J4 going all in again onto Kale, knowing that the ult's down. Might get cut out here though. Does
Might
take
die
a
to
lot of
Rammus.
damage from the tower.
He's gonna die to Rammus.
Yeah, he's gonna die. Sona picks
Well,
up the
Sona
kill.
gets the kill, but it's
In
gonna
the
make
meantime,
Sona.
Fiddle tries to come in and save him, but Tristana just has so much damage at this point. Don't know if he's
Fear,
gonna be able
though.
to escape. Does flash for it. Gonna get the last hit off and
Yeah.
go
That
unstoppable.
range. That range.
Tristana really showing up and becoming huge already.
Yeah, she's fed. Like, that's a scary thing with somebody who hyper carries like Tristana or a Vayne or anybody like that, is that they get fed early, you're in really big trouble because they're just going to skip over their weak points.
Yep.
Like Tristana has a really weak mid game. She doesn't care right now. She's kind of past that.
Yeah.
She's just fed.
Which
So
is
you're just getting in trouble.
actually what's happened almost every time so far that we've
Yeah, I've
casted
seen a lot of
Tristana
that
game.
with Tristanas lately. Again, Heimerdinger with the ult turret against it, just trying to take a tower. I'm
Yeah.
not sold on that. I mean, yeah, it gets a fair bit of damage to the tower, but I feel like his ult's much better used elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it's personally I think it's actually the best choice he has because he doesn't really bring anything to the team fight. Continuing to pressure not necessarily just the top lane, but continuing to pressure map objectives over kills in
Sure.
team fights. Using that ult to try to create pressure on the tower isn't probably the worst
Yeah.
thing ever. Just
No, it's
because,
not the
as we
worst
said
thing, it's just
before,
questionable.
like he doesn't bring anything.
No,
So-
and like he needs to at least try and take advantage of, even though he doesn't bring a lot to his team. Just in a fight as a kid, you should at least be trying to roam with your team or something.
J4 getting caught out again.
Yeah.
And also losing a tower in the top lane at the meantime. Evening up the towers. And the gold actually being almost dead even at this point.
Blue team actually has a lead.
Yep.
Not by a lot, but there's a lead. Even though the solo laners are winning pretty hard for purple. That Tristana is just terrifying. Honest, and like the top, while Heimer's winning, he's not winning. Like he's not winning in kills or anything. He's just winning in lane advantage and bullying.
He's bullying out the Renekton and creating
He's
map
bullying the
pressure,
Renekton, but he's not like fed. Is
Yeah.
the thing. So, I feel like he could just be doing so much more with this pressure than he's doing right now.
And Renekton
Like,
built
that's
the
my
super
biggest
early
issue.
Hydra. I believe
Okay,
we talked
yeah.
about this before
Was that
in one of our
before we
previous
talked about it
podcasts.
again?
Yes.
Okay, when you're
Casted
Renekton,
games.
Tiamat early is pretty good, although in this case you should have actually gone Hexdrinker because you're getting beat up by an AP. But when you're Renekton, you do not finish your Hydra early. You build your Tiamat, and then you just rely on the natural sustain of your Q, and you build tanky. Like from then on, you don't try and build you don't need the extra sustain from a Hydra. The thing you get from Hydra over Tiamat is more than anything else. It's just there's an is that you get a lot more sustain out of it. You get the sustain from it having lifesteal, and you get sustain from the passive that now the AoE lifesteals you as well.
Oh, and
So-
Lucian pulls tower
Uh-huh.
aggro for a split second there and goes down, putting the kill over onto Renekton.
Yeah, but that's just you shouldn't finish your Hydra until you've gotten some other items. You don't need to waste the money on it. There's much better things you can spend it on.
You have plenty of sustain. I like the Spectral Cowl coming out. I personally would have gone Spectral Cowl early and not have bothered with the Hex Drinker because I don't want to try to trade with Heimer. Heimer flashes to the other side and doesn't look like he's gonna
I feel like
stick.
he should have flashed the wall there instead of flashing the other side of the fight.
The towers pick up the kill on Rammus though as he tries to escape.
Yeah.
Guys, I also just want to apologize if the excitement level is not as amazing as the first game. I'm running on an hour of sleep, so this is for you.
Yeah.
I love you guys. I do. I really do. This
Like,
is
you
awesome.
actually made us have to do 4 games instead of 2 tonight. That's crazy. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying seeing you guys grow this community, and I love to see all of these new faces. I hope you guys stick around and start participating in more T-Force stuff and joining in on all of the
Join us in
T-Force.
the T-Force chat and just being lunatics. It's fun.
Yeah, make T-Force Twitch chat. It's interesting.
I prefer it with less Twitch chat. But
Don't
you know what
actually do that,
I mean. Yeah.
Molly.
No. Yeah. Okay. Where are we at?
We are at a dragon rotation.
Okay, Lucian's. I'm gonna touch on builds here. Lucian's going Blade of the Ruined King into Trinity Force. I mean, it's a better build than last game where we saw the Infinity Edge and the Blade of the Ruined King. But again, like I mentioned last time, Lucian does better with strictly flat AD than with the on-hit, because like Blade of the Ruined King gives you 25 AD. That's hardly anything, right? Like Lucian loves flat AD. His Q has like a 1.2 bonus AD ratio, I believe, at max rank. That's pretty significant. You want to abuse that because his Q's is bread and butter spell. So not building flat AD hurts him a lot. I mean, he's still doing fine, but I feel like he could be doing a lot better if he built flat AD. Like before the changes, you always went Bloodthirster into Trinity Force. Now you probably go Infinity Edge into Trinity Force, but still, like, so many people want to build Blade of the Ruined King on Lucian. I just am not a fan.
Everybody just loves Blade of the Ruined King. I love Blade of the Ruined King, but I play all Blade of the Ruined King AD carries.
Oh, that taunt was beautiful.
Taking a lot of damage to try to take that tower.
That was a great
Rammus
taunt,
is gonna have to
by the
flash.
way, by the way. He stopped the last auto from taking the tower for a long time and forced Lucian just to tank so much damage for free. That was actually really brilliant. I love it.
Heimer.
Wow, Heimer hurts.
Doing a ton of damage.
Yeah. Okay, so now Heimer's getting kind of heavy. Now he's 4-2-7. Now he's gonna be scary. I don't know if that's gonna be enough to transition to a team fight for him, but it's certainly something, that's for sure.
Yes. Went the
Yeah.
early Zanyas, Fiddle went early Zanyas, which
Yeah,
he
which
should.
is-
And then,
You should be. Interestingly, Fiddle didn't even build a jungle item.
yeah, that's what I was wondering with the no machete start if he was going to, and he didn't end up going at all.
See,
whatsoever.
oftentimes the no machete start, you build Spectral Wraith, you just don't start with the machete.
Okay.
But you still like the Spectral Wraith just because it's gold generation and gives you a bunch of AP, some CDR. I'm not sure why he didn't, but I feel like he probably should. Just because, like, the jungle items they're so good if you're a jungle. Like they were so good before they had to nerf them because they were too good that even laners were taking them. As a jungler, even just that bonus damage against minions, and then the bonus gold you get on clearing camps, that's really very significant, and you can't underestimate how big that is. I feel like Fiddle should have gone Spectral Wraith there. Even though he didn't start with Machete, he still should have gone Spectral Wraith.
I can agree with that wholeheartedly.
So, I don't know if he might be building that now because he's got Fiendish Codex and a Fairy Charm. Maybe? But I feel like that's probably more likely to be Athene's. I don't know.
Now, would you have gone with the Thorn Mail, the J4 one, or a separate armor item?
No, I do not like. Strictly as a first armor item, you should pretty much never go Thorn Mail, unless you're facing somebody like a Tryndamere or something, who is and that they're the only threat and they're 100% auto attack based. Then maybe. But as your first defensive item against somebody who does AD, wow, you should always go either a Sunfire or a Randuin's.
Yep.
Because you get that combo of both health and armor. Like, armor doesn't do much without health to back it up, and health doesn't do much without armor to buff it up. Like, you need both. You want to try and balance both as well, so. Because both of them actually have diminishing returns the more you stack them.
Okay.
So, like, if you have 300 armor but 1500 health, you're going to be less tanky than somebody with 150 armor but, 3000 health. Like, your effective health is lower.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Plus, you're much more vulnerable to heavy armor attack. So, no, I would have gone Randuin's.
Good ult coming down from Kale. to keep
Yeah, actually,
Rammus alive.
even looking at the game top, regarding the fact that, like, disregarding the whole, you don't really have the health to back up the Thornmail. They have two people who are auto attack dependent. They have a Kayle and they have a Tristana. The slow from a Randuin would have been huge.
Yep.
Like the auto attack slow would have been so helpful. So I don't know if he's gonna go that soon, but I feel like he should have gone that instead of the Thornmail first.
My only other thought and question for you was move 5s on Zyra. I'm not sold on it personally.
I tend to prefer Sork Boots because I tend to build her more of a off mage.
Yep.
I mean, I am a Zyra support fan. Like, I will often do, like, Sork Boots and do, like, Leandries. Just because she brings so much to a team. Just damage-wise. Like, she doesn't need many items to do a lot of damage, and she can really help the team being an extra mage.
Heimer going pretty
Heimer
deep
going pop.
and gonna go pop.
Heimer got knocked back in by Tristana ult. Trish jumped over his head and ulted him back into her turret. That was actually pretty slick. But there was a Fiddlesticks right there, and she got feared and died. So... little slow there in the Sona ult.
Yep.
That could have been a lot earlier.
Jarvan going really deep though, taking a lot of tower shots. Don't know if he'll be able to get out of this. And actually the
Apparently
double kill goes over for Renekton.
He can't. Apparently he can't.
Trying to clean this up as much as possible. Don't think that Lucian's going to be able to get out of this either. And that's just the purple team going far too deep, and on top of going far too deep, staying far too long. You got to know when to cut your losses.
You stay too long and take the tower over diving. Like, don't get greedy for kills. Towers are more important than kills. Like that's something you guys have to remember. Is towers are just so much more important than a kill could ever be. Just, like, it always. Yeah. Okay, so back to Zyra and Mobies. I mean, they could be worse. I mean, it's not the worst choice, but I prefer doing Sorks on her just because she's got very good bases and it helps her bases do more damage. And she's a mage support. She's not a utility support or a tank support. She's a mage support.
Yeah.
Kind of like Karma. You want to build that, or you can build CDR boots. CDR boots are nice too.
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
You want more offensive boots than just pure mobility. Well, we should build a Morello Nomicon now, which is probably a pretty solid pick. Not bad. Because you do have the Kayle and the Sona heals, so that's not bad at all.
Yep, definitely will help then. They're going to clear out the pink ward here.
Yeah.
Heimer dropping the ultimate tower pretty early.
For the ult turret there. I mean, he managed to bait their team onto it, but...
Lucian bringing the culling down, and for the most part...
Renekton can get some vengeance from... Nice ult there by Fiddlesticks, but where's the Zhonya's, man?
Oh, and there's the Zhonya's to keep him alive at the very last second. Tristana is going to leap in and leap out, picking up the kill. Don't know if she's going to be able to escape
somebody
it.
like Fiddlesticks is you should really be using that Zhonya's when you're first going to take the front load of damage, right? Which is almost always when you first jump in. Like, you jump in and use Zhonya's, so they don't get free damage anyway. You're trying to be obnoxious, right? Save it until you're about to die. While it can be useful, mostly just delays the inevitable instead of preventing a lot of damage that can get you that low in the first phase. So, nice dragon take by purple side. Hopefully they'll push it down mid, and I don't know, they probably can't get the inhibitor tower for this, but they can at least pressure it.
Yeah, I think what they really need to start doing is creating pressure in more than one lane. Splitting that pressure up, or keeping pressure in one lane and then rotating to another lane.
See, I feel like this is where your Heimerdinger with teleport, even though it's not up, works well. You send your Heimer to one lane, send your team to have your team top, and then the other half bot. Or send the Heimerdinger bot lane, send the other 4 top lane. Split up their team, force them to choose, right? Like, Heimer's not going to take towers really fast, but he can certainly pressure that turret and get a lot of damage. So, that's a pretty important thing that you can do. And it can really help. Although, honestly, they are still winning fights decently mid lane. I feel like the biggest problem right now is greed.
Yep.
Being greedy for kills, and then it's costing you. So, yeah.
Didn't even realize actually that Fiddle, for all of his ults, like, he's done fairly well.
Yeah.
But I feel like he dies.
he's dead.
He's gonna die again.
Or not. No, he's dead. But yeah, okay, one thing here. Okay, Fiddle and Zyra both have Morel and Omicron. You really don't need that on 2 people on your team. Especially when both of them are people like Fiddlesticks or Zyra, who both will proc it to their entire team very effectively.
Fail flash coming out from Rumble.
Like, Zyra plants and her ult will all proc Morel and Omicron, right? And Fiddlesticks is sitting in the middle of your team with his ult proc, like, just swirling, proccing it constantly. But the passive is unique. Like, you don't get any benefit from 2 people hitting at the same time. So I'm not sure. I don't know if they just weren't looking at the other person, or what the deal is there. But there's really not much point in having 2 on the same team. I mean, it's a solid item, but
I want to say, team fight wise, just in general, I want to say that the purple team's doing a really good job at micromanaging the aggro and like in their positioning, going in and out of the fight, so that the main damage dealers are staying alive for a very long time, even if they end up going down, and focusing out the right people pretty quickly. And Ram is taking a lot of damage. Looks like he's going to go down, and Lucian getting huge actually now.
Yeah, Lucian's pretty fat. Yeah, that's a pretty free inhib right there. And now is where you rotate ball lane, I would say, because they've only got an hit period up, whereas top still is tier 2. Yep. And now you just push down bot lane. They have to deal with mid lane because there's super minions coming down.
Wow.
And then you just pressure a second lane so that they have to try and split their focus, and you'll just eventually whittle them down that way. Because they'll either have to pull people off and be at a man disadvantage, or they're going to just take free damage from super minions. Or they can just push it and try and end.
I was going to say, I think they're going to try to push an end.
I'm not sure they can, because Sona's back up and Rammus is up into 8. Although Renekton just popped, so.
I was going to say, Renekton just went down.
Sona all gets flashed there, and she just doesn't get much out of it at all.
J4 taking a lot of damage, but the Fiddle Ult's going to come down. Good Stranglethorn coming out also.
They can definitely end this.
Yeah. The lead was just far too large.
Yeah. Or is it? I think they can clear this out. Wow, they can.
Just barely.
Only just. Lucian and Zyra should stay there for the last, like, 2 auto attacks.
I think that they could have ended it there.
I don't know why they backed off when it was that close to ending. Like, when the game is that close, just end it. Who cares if you're going to die? If you can die, but you take the Nexus with you?
Yeah.
Like, that's hashtag worth an all chat. Like, I mean, come on. Hello. But yeah. I mean, this game's pretty close to over.
I think the biggest portion so far that's been the big deciding factor wasn't just the lanes getting fed, because Tristana did a really good job early at getting a pretty big lead and snowballing that lead. The problem is that team fight wise, the Wombo-ish combo, Zyra ulti, Fiddlesticks ulti, Jarvan ulti, Timer towers, and then Lucian being able to sit on the back end of that and murder everybody.
Yeah, Purple had a better team fight.
That's a really good team fight, and on top of that, it's not just the fact that they had a good team fight, but they did a really good job at micromanaging the fights. I noticed a couple times where they were purposefully splitting people off a little bit so that they had to get dragged into corridors where they could utilize that team fight even more instead of trying to fight them in open space. And it really worked to their benefit.
Precisely. Yeah, no, and also they also bring a fair bit of zone control, making it really hard for blue team to get onto their Lucian.
Yep.
Like, if they want to get onto the Lucian, they have to get past Heimerdinger, they have to go through all the way through a Fiddlesticks and hope not to get feared. And have to get past the Zyra, who's got the Stranglethorns, knock up, and then the Grasp of Roots right in the middle of them. Not a great ult there by Fiddlesticks. He's pretty far back.
He is, but
right now,
go down anyway.
Like right now, you can just force the inhib for free, because their options are either try and stop you and lose Nexus, or deal with it. And Jarvan's trying for the X-Spec.
He's gonna get knocked back, but they're gonna get the
X-Spec. I like.
I knew you would like.
Oh, right. Who all was it who wanted? I just should have written it down. Who wanted stuff? If you want special attention, rather. So if you're in Twitch chat and you want special attention, well, actually, I'll probably mention you a game anyways, but we'll probably just go over everybody anyways. Might as well. Okay, so shall we just go over? I mean, basically, Purple Team had their soul lanes win really hard. Tristana beat Lucian in lane, but Lucian managed to come back, and Tristana couldn't really 1v5 their team.